Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'm breaking down every single piece of information that we have so far about Halo Wars 2 story. So if you could leave a like on the video before we get started, that'd be fantastic. So I'm going to start with the basics, and that is years and dates. So Halo Wars 2 is set 28 years after Halo Wars 1, so in 2559. This puts it exactly 1 year ahead of Halo 5, but considering Halo 5 takes place in late 2558, Halo Wars 2 could only take place a couple months after Halo 5, or it could take place an entire year after Halo 5. Right now, we have no idea. So what does this mean for Serena? Now, for those who aren't aware, Serena was an AI who was put into service sometime in 2530, and as she's a smart AI, she goes rampant after around 7 years. She's been on the Spirit of Fire now for 29 years. Now, I know smart AIs can go dormant to temporarily hold rampancy off, but doing so for 29 years is really pushing it in my opinion. However, there is one problem with this: the Halo Wars 1 legendary ending.
Captain, wake up. Something has happened.
Now this really fucks with the story, as if it leads directly into Halo Wars 2, it means Serena is still alive in some state, but how? As much as I really don't want this to happen, there's always a small chance that it'll get retconned, but either way, I'm super interested to see how they actually explain this. Now, contrary to popular belief, the Spirit of Fire doesn't actually crash on the Ark. I originally thought it was going to, but we've later found out that it just happens to drift towards it. Now, the managing director of Halo Wars 2, Kevin Grace, did an interview with GameSpot where he said that the crew have no idea if humanity lost the war, or if the Covenant has killed everyone. Now, to me, it's pretty harrowing to know that the crew of the Spirit of Fire are fighting this Covenant force without any knowledge of whether it's even worth it or not. They might be fighting to secure a future that doesn't even exist. Also in this interview, we were told that the Spirit of Fire crew travelled down to the Ark to try and establish connections with the rest of the galaxy, which is where they ultimately run into Atriox and the Banished. So, what's the deal with that original trailer that we got last year? That trailer that had Atriox and some of his brutes on the Spirit of Fire, and seemed, at least, to continue directly on after the Halo Wars 1 legendary ending. Now, given what I've just said about the Spirit of Fire first encountering the Banished on the Ark, this doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's possible that this trailer is just poetic license, so it's just to sort of show off the general overarching story of Halo Wars 2, that of course being the Spirit of Fire's struggle against the Banished, or it could be set later in the game where the Banished board and attack the Spirit of Fire and her crew. Now, at least to me, it seemed like this trailer depicted the events directly after Halo Wars 1's legendary ending. Again, maybe this was just on purpose to show the story wasn't going to be a completely new one and was going to continue directly on from Halo Wars 1, and therefore the trailer isn't canon, along with the legendary ending. Then again, it could equally be canon, and I could just be looking way too deeply into this. So the main enemy faction in Halo Wars 2 is obviously going to be the Banished, but who are the Banished, and who the hell is Atriox, their leader? Well, I'm going to be doing a more detailed video on this in the next few days, but to explain it simply in this video, they are a brute force that rebelled against the original Covenant before the Schism in Halo 2, and actually fought against them during the war. Over the dissolving of the many variants of the Covenant, the Banished grew stronger and stronger, collecting the Covenant's former power in terms of both troops and equipment. One really interesting thing about the Banished is they've apparently been referenced in previous games. Now, I'll theorize over this in particular in my Banished video. And who is Atriox? Well, Atriox is simply the brute chieftain, or at least I think he's a chieftain, who's their leader. And what the hell are Atriox and the Banished doing on the Ark? Well, apparently they're trying to further increase their power. This means that there must be something else on the Ark, something we haven't been showed yet. Unless they're just scavenging for old Human Covenant War leftovers to further increase their fleet, but this makes me believe that there's another species or faction or race on the Ark that they may be trying to recruit or something. And lastly, I'm sure you all remember that frame in Halo Escalation that showed the Flood infection form on the Spirit of Fire in a cryo room with abandoned ship on the display above. So how does this fit into Halo Wars 2's story? Well, I, along with many other people, originally theorized that Serena saying something has happened meant the Flood had infested the Spirit of Fire, and that Halo Wars 2 was going to open with the ship being evacuated, even though this does break the cardinal rule of the Flood, which is to introduce them around halfway through the campaign. Now, we know this definitely isn't the case anymore, as we actually have gameplay of the Spirit of Fire being perfectly fine during the first mission. However, this frame could easily take place later on in the campaign. Maybe the Flood have managed to find their way back onto the Ark from some source and manage to commandeer some pelicans, fly up to the Spirit of Fire without it realizing they're harboring Flood, and then as soon as the pelicans dock in the Spirit of Fire, the Flood break out and begin infecting it from there. But who knows, at this point it's just one big guessing game. But that doesn't mean that we can't theorize about it. Oh, and trust me, we will theorize about it. And that's it for today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. Next video should be out tomorrow or Friday, and that's going to be talking about the Banished, and it's going to be a breakdown of who they are and what their intentions are, and maybe even looking at Atriox as well in that video. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next video.